Well, that's a hard speech to follow, and my congratulations. What did the Toastmasters convention last weekend, Awake, and my little dog Muffin have in common? Any guesses? No, my dog wasn't a Toastmaster. That's out. And I didn't even know the person at the wake. But I was inspired by all of them. And I want to tell you a little bit about how these three things inspired me, and it led to my speech tonight. Muffin was a little dog. She was my little dog. And we were sitting at the conference, which was the most amazing conference. If you've never been to a Toastmasters convention, you have to go. The whole hotel is filled with Toastmasters. And one thing about Toastmasters is Toastmasters get involved. You saw everybody scurrying around with their, I have little raffle tickets, and this one's scurrying around to get the food out. And it was just a wonderful conference. There were so many motivated people and captivating people. It was like everywhere you went, you could talk to somebody and engage in an intelligent conversation or just enjoy their company. And I don't think I've been to many conventions where you feel that way. Usually everybody's half asleep at the tables and don't even want to be there. But a Toastmasters convention, you have probably the top 5% of Americans who are motivated and involved. It's a wonderful thing, and Jane did a wonderful job of advertising it and coordinating it, and I really enjoyed it. The keynote speaker, our world champion, went over how he came about his speech and how he developed it and why he used certain topics in his speech instead of other topics. He says you have to relate to the audience. I learned a lot from that Toastmasters convention. I want to tell you how I met my little dog Muffin. I met Muffin at a wake. So they're talking about a wake. Poonam was sitting at the table with me at the convention, and she was on my right, and I had Rick Robinson on my left, and there was some guy none of us knew, and he's saying to her, "I know you from somewhere." And she goes, "You look familiar too. Did you go to the area contest?" No. Did you go to this Toastmasters wake? She goes, no. Well, that wake made me think about Muffin. Now, the story of Muffin is different than most dogs and how you can find a dog, because I went to a wake of someone I didn't know at all, Nan. I knew her from work. She worked from her home, and she was a vocational rehabilitation counselor with the state of Florida, and I was a vendor for them, and she would give me work and evaluate my work. And she was one of these people that would go out of their way to really help someone. There's a lot of lousy vocational rehab counselors out there that just grab a paycheck, but she went the distance. And at her wake, there were tons of people. And they were saying some of the most heartwarming tributes to her that I've ever heard. How she helped this one get into a career, how she was just a great worker here, and it was testimonial after testimonial after testimonial. You would have thought you were at a Toastmasters convention if so many people speaking. But they were really speaking from the heart because of Nan. And I really respected that. I never met her, but I really respected Nan. And I said, if I'm going to die one day, which I expect I will, I would like to be remembered like Nan, someone who really enriched people's lives. And afterwards, after the wake, we went to her house, and she was a wheelchair lady. I didn't even know that. And we were talking and eating and had some chocolate cake, not as good as at the conference, but it was just, and while I was there, the whole time, there's this little dog. I mean, like a little Shih Tzu mix, white dog. It had red scaly patches over it. It was scratching all the time. And that dog wouldn't leave my feet. I would walk to the other room, and this dog would walk to the other room. Finally, I said, whose dog is this? And they said, it's yours. I said, it's mine? And they said, well, it's Nan's dog, and Nan doesn't have a home, and I think you've been adopted. So I was adopted by my dog, Muffin. And Muffin was 11 years old when she adopted me. She was already an old dog. And she had the worst breath. I'm not known for really handsome animals, except my latest dog. My cat Missy had this big tumor on her nose, and I tend to have ugly animals. But she really was pretty smelly, and so I had promised my son a dog when I finished my master's program, and we took Muffin home with me. Now, I had many, many, many years where I struggled quite a bit. The field of rehabilitation counseling isn't that easy of a field. You work with sick people. You work in a sick system. The lawyers, the doctors, the insurance adjusters, and nobody gets helped. And it's kind of bad. And I thought more than once of getting out of the field, but every night I'd walk Muffin around the block, and Muffin kind of shook her tail and was cheery, and I remembered Nan every time I saw Muffin. So, what does a Toastmaster convention, a wake, and a little dog have in common? They all inspired me. And if you want to be inspired, you don't have to get a smelly dog. You don't have to go to a wake. Just go to the Las Vegas Toastmasters Convention.